Hi everyone, Persian American female rabbi tuning in here to tell you a little bit about what's going on in the Middle East. I taught a class this past Sunday on anti-Semitism and the Holocaust, and one of the questions that came up was naturally what's going on in the Middle East. And one of the questions was about the woman life freedom movement in Iran. There used to be a Shah, a monarch in charge of Iran before 1979. And that's where my parents grew up. My parents grew up in Iran and they had freedoms, definitely compared to what we're seeing today in Iran. When 1979 came around, the Islamic Republic took hold and pretty much ousted the Shah. And so what turned out to be a fundamental Islamic regime started to really crack down on how women dress and people dress and behave in society. They even started to put something out called the morality police. Police that walk through the streets to make sure that women are dressed in line. Their hair has to be tucked under a hair covering called a hijab. Their ankles can't be showing. This woman, Mahsa Amini, a Kurdish woman, she went to Tehran with her brother, and she was arrested by the morality police. They say it was because a piece of her hair was showing. I heard some remarks that it was also because her ankles were showing. She was taken into a van, and we don't see her until she arrives at the police station. And at the police station, the cameras show that she faints. She's quickly rushed to the hospital. She goes into a coma, and a few days later, she dies. Naturally, people had questions, and we found out that she was beaten so ruthlessly in the van that she died. Understandably so, the Iranian people were outraged that over something like a hair showing or your ankles, you kill a young girl. People have pretty much had it. Remember, they have been under this really tyrant regime since 1979. And so they took to the streets and they started a movement called the Woman Life Freedom Movement. So what did the Iranian regime do? They cut off the internet. And they cracked down on people. Girls in schools were taking off their hijab in protest. I'm talking 16-year-olds. And it wasn't just women protesting. There were men, all kinds of people that were aligning together and saying, we are fed up with this kind of a regime. We want to go back to the way things were, or we want to go forward to a democracy. We don't want to be in this world. And these thugs, who are called the IRGC, the Iranian Republic, they doubled down on the people. There was an instance where they actually poisoned schoolgirls in school. They broke up protests with having soldiers march to the street, throw pellets. The pictures that I used to see a few years ago were insane. And fast forward to today, Iran has developed nuclear weapons to the point where it wanted to destroy Israel. It says things like Mard bar Israel, death to Israel, and Mard bar America, death to America. And as so many people in the Jewish community always say, when an enemy approaches you and says they want to kill you, believe them. Why shouldn't you believe them? All of these posts are coming out from Kamala Harris to Hillary Clinton to different presidents that actually serve, not just candidates. And when asked what is the most pressing issue that you want to resolve if you become president, is Iran. And now we are trying to figure out a way to get rid of the nukes, the missiles. If Iran was led by a normal leadership, maybe having developed nukes would just be dealt with based on negotiations. But these people, they don't care about their own people. They have raped people just to keep them in line. Anyone who protests, anyone who comes and dares to say anything is either arrested or executed. There have been hundreds of executions this year alone, and it's only June. And so this is not a regime to be messed with. This is not a regime to negotiate with. As a human being, as a rabbi, as someone who deals with human beings one-on-one, I always want us to try to communicate. I don't want fights. I don't want war. There have been so many deaths on the Israel side, on the Palestinian side, and now in Iran. So many innocent human beings in Iran who actually don't like the regime, who are on Israel's side. At the same time, war sometimes needs to happen, because if war doesn't happen, then the majority dies. And so I just want to let all of you know that it's hard for me not to get involved with politics, and I try to stay on the side. And I am not involved because it's just Israel. I am now involved because both of my worlds, all of my worlds collide. Iran, Israel, and USA is now being dragged into this, or was probably always behind Israel in some fashion. There needs to be a way where we can live in peace long term. And I have been praying for the day that I could finally go to Iran and visit the country that my parents were from, that they never thought that they would leave and never go back to. I don't want any innocent lives to die. And if there's a way that we could come back and figure things out, great. But at this point, We need to finish the job, and finishing the job means getting rid of nukes, getting rid of missiles, and getting rid of threat from Iran, not just to Israel and not just to America, but to the rest of the world. So I wish the Middle East peace. Please don't think that I want war. I just want us to finish a job that is going to be able to help the world. If you have any questions about this issue or anything else related, please ask me.